One of the best parts of being a fan of basketball is getting to watch young, budding stars reach their full potential and hit the highest level. It's very rare that a player hits that superstar level individually, and even right now there are only a handful of players that can truly be considered superstars, but there are definitely a few young guys making their way towards that rank, and that's what we're here to discuss today. In this video, we'll be discussing 5 young players that may currently only be considered stars in the game, but have the potential to hit that superstar tier as early as this season. These are the players that have shown consistent improvement every year they've been in the NBA, and with them still being so young and so talented, the top tier is genuinely within reach for them. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first young player I believe has a real chance to elevate to the rare superstar tier of talent in the NBA this season is Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves. At just 22 years of age, Edwards was already starting to establish himself as one of the very best players at the shooting guard position, and it feels like he's just getting started. Through 4 seasons, he's improved his scoring output every year, putting up 26 per game last season, and yet he still hasn't come anywhere close to hitting his ceiling. Edwards is a freakish athlete who explodes around the basket for powerful finishes, and he continually improves as an outside shooter, which was on full display in the playoffs where he looked like a 10-year veteran assassin scorer, decisively countering everything the defenses were throwing at him and knocking down tough shots throughout. In the playoffs, Edwards was averaging 28 points per game, shooting 48% from the field and 40% from 3. He led the way for his Wolves team as they advanced all the way to the Western Conference Finals, and he himself scored over 40 points 3 different times during that run, which is ridiculously impressive for someone so young. This summer, Edwards got some valuable experience playing at the Olympics with the best talent America has to offer, where he got to learn from the very best of the best, and with all of that working in his favor, I don't think it would surprise anybody if Ant came out putting up nearly 30 points per game this season, which would absolutely put him in that superstar conversation. The next young player with a very real chance of reaching the superstar tier of talent this season is Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs. This is probably the most obvious inclusion on the list today because Wembanyama has been hailed as a superstar in the making from the day that he got drafted. At 7'4", Wemby is truly a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent who is coming off of a season where he won Rookie of the Year and still felt like he could have done more. In the second half of his rookie season, he really started to come into his own, and now with a full year under his belt, the 2-year jump could be very substantial for someone with as much crazy upside as he has. As a rookie, Wembanyama was averaging about 21 points and 11 rebounds plus 4 assists per game, while also leading the NBA in blocks, swatting 3.6 shots per game as well. So what would a leap to superstardom look like for him? Well, he's coming into the year as the odds-on favorite to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, so proving he can be the most impactful defensive force in the league would be a pretty good start as something that's actually reasonably attainable due to his unbelievable physical tools that make it impossible to get around him when they're attacking the basket. He was already damn near at that level as a rookie though, so the real leap needs to come offensively. Wembanyama's numbers were good, but his shooting splits of 46% from the field and 32% from 3 leave a lot to be desired from someone his size who has also shown the capability of being a big-time shot maker from the perimeter. Consistency is key there, because if he can hit closer to league average marks for a stretch big by way of making about 36% of his threes and 50% of his total shots, then his scoring average should shoot up to about that 26 or 27 point per game range, and with veteran Chris Paul now being around in San Antonio to help set him up for easier looks, that's a mark I think is very much within reach for the 20-year-old phenom. The next young player that can realistically go from being a star to a superstar this season is Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic. Banchero may not see the spotlight and attention that most #1 overall picks get, especially when they're actually living up to the hype, but he's quietly been emerging in a big way down in Orlando through 2 seasons. He started his career winning the Rookie of the Year award, scoring 20 points per game, and then followed it up by being named an All-Star this past season, while also leading his young Magic squad to the playoffs for the first time since their rebuild began. He's doing everything you want to see from a player brought in with the expectations of being a franchise cornerstone, and after even more strengthening of the roster around him this offseason, and with him still being just 21 years old, Banchero should be in for yet another individual leap as his team's go-to guy. The Magic clearly believe in his ability to take that leap as well, because they had a lot of money available to spend this summer, and instead of trying to find another star player to bring in, they spent it on a great role player in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to boost their team's floor spacing after they finished in the bottom 5 of the league in 3-point percentage last year. So with even more room to operate now, Banchero, who thrives when he has a path to the basket to attack the rim off the dribble due to his overwhelming size and strength, can produce in even more ideal situations. Putting up 23 points per game last year without many consistent shooters around him earned him an all-star bid, but if defenses are kept honest by the shooters around him, then Banchero is definitely a potential 27-point scorer in the making, and after he improved his 3-point percentage by 4 percentage points from year 1 to year 2, he's shown that he's working hard to become a 3-level scorer as well. And finally, the last young star that has the potential to take a leap to superstardom this season is Tyrese Maxey of the Philadelphia 76ers. Maxey is the only one we're discussing today that isn't the team's #1 option right now, yet he's become notorious for taking massive leaps every year, so it would be foolish to ignore that trend and count out another big jump from him. Maxey's scoring has gone from 8 points per game as a rookie to 17 in his second season to 20 per game in year 3, and then he exploded to 26 per game last year, where he made his first All-Star game, and with him still being 23 years old, the explosions aren't going to stop there. Everyone around him speaks to the fact that he is far and away the hardest worker they've been around, and his constant improvement is a testament to that work ethic, and especially in the situation that he's on in the Sixers, where there will be openings for him to take over, that's something that could absolutely happen. Joel Embiid is a perennial MVP candidate and one of the best players in the NBA when he's healthy, but his health issues will always be a concern, and after Maxey's showing in the playoffs against the Knicks last year, he proved he could handle more of the load and should handle more of the load. Maxey averaged 30 points in that playoff series against the Knicks, including a heroic 46-point game where he completely took over down the stretch and single-handedly sent the game to overtime and then won it, and that kind of drive is something players either have or they don't. It can't be taught. Maxey's got the it factor and doesn't shy away from any moment. He's an incredibly hard worker, and he's one of the fastest players in the NBA with the ball in his hands, and as a 3-level scorer, he comes back every single season better than the last, so with him already being so good at such a young age, he could absolutely sneak up on some people and propel himself into that range that borders on the superstar tier. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below which young stars you think could take an even bigger leap this season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.